and how you can actually select them. So part one, we are going to look at introduction to mixed research methods, and then two, look at the research questions in the mixed method research, and then we are going to look at the designs. Okay, so as you can see, what is critical in all these is triangulation. You want to triangulate at various levels. You want to triangulate at various levels. So you pick here, you pick there, and this is what constitute mixed research methods. So what is triangulation? Using multiple approaches to address a research. Okay, you don't just rely on one source or one approach. So you are going to have your quantitative and your qualitative. So you can use actually multiple of them to address your research. What does it do? It enhances your validity and the credibility of your research findings. That's what it does. So it is mainly used in qualitative research, but also common applied in quantitative research. Check the difference. Okay, mainly used in qualitative, okay, but also is applicable in quantitative research. Okay, so when you see MMR, we mean mixed methods research. Okay, if you go up here, just check. Okay, have you seen this? Okay, if we say MMR, that is mixed methods research. That's what we mean. So it does that. It does that. We are saying, we are arguing, ladies and gentlemen, that if used in mixed methods research, then definitely you always use the methodological triangulation, where you use different methods. Right. So type of triangulation, I hinted on this last time. What is the purpose for triangulation? And then what are the pros and cons of triangulations in research? So there's data triangulation. We talked about this. There's investigator triangulation. We talked about that last time. We had the theory triangulation and the methodological triangulation. Data triangulation, you can see that here you want to ensure that you get data from different spaces, different subjects or people or times. Then also the investigator triangulation. This actually, it involves multiple researchers in collecting or analyzing data. Please don't just pick its advantage. It has also its own disadvantages. I recall, if you are supervised by 3 supervisors, I'm telling you, just be ready for confusion. I can assure you, there will be a lot of confusion. This one is saying this, this one is saying this, this one is saying this. This one is confusing this one. Now you find that now a fight now erupts between supervisors. No, it's not this. No, it's not this. And then you, the student, as a grass, you suffer. Or sometimes you can even be misled. Okay, so it has got advantages, but it has got its own disadvantages. Then theory triangulation, where you are going to use different theoretical frameworks in your study. Then also we have the methodological triangulation, using different methodologies to approach the same topic. So for data triangulation, that's just an example. Data from sample in Lusaka plus data from sample from maybe Accra. If you look at the two, these are capital city of 2 different nations. Definitely the results that you are going to get will be much more enhanced. An example of investigator triangulation, same data analyzed by 2 different groups to test the reliability. Okay, so if this one does the analysis, what about the other one does the analysis? the outcome should not be very different. Okay, they should not be different. Let's take, for example, a methodological triangulation, behavioral controlled lab experiment. Okay, this is actually highly controlled, and then you also conduct a free survey, then check the outcome. For triangulation or theory triangulation, for example, let's take, for example, you believe there are two main competing motivational theories for why people behave cooperatively. You know, when people cooperate, there are several reasons why. I can see people are still logging in. Let me just check on them. Yeah, they're here. Yeah, they're here. We'll continue logging in. Right. Okay. Right. So we were just giving an example. So people cooperate for a sense of reward. Okay, they'll be very loyal to you. Okay, they'll be very, very loyal to you because they know that if I'm loyal to this boss or to whatever, then I'll be rewarded. Okay, so basically they cooperate to feel good, or sometimes people cooperate to avoid guilty. Okay, I'm sure you have seen in places of work where all of a sudden a labor leader or a very troublesome employee actually does cooperate. And if they cooperate, basically they just want to avoid maybe guilty. So they cooperate to avoid feeling bad. So you can then investigate whether there is more brain activity in reward related or in guilty averse brain areas when people cooperate. Just an example. So these are the ones you can see. There's data triangulation, there's investigator triangulation, there's methodological triangulation, there's theory triangulation, and then there's a philosophical triangulation. So you have all those. So what is the purpose? Okay. What is the purpose of triangulation? One is to cross-check evidence. Okay, is to cross-check evidence. If you take your case before the courts of law, they will examine that case. Okay, they will bring 3 or so witnesses. Basically, they just want to cross-check the evidential facts that are there. But also, it helps you to have a complete picture about what you are studying or what you are investigating. And of course, it will be able to enhance validity. It will be able to enhance validity. So those are the purpose why triangulation is actually important. What are the pros and cons of triangulation in research? First of all, it reduces biasness. Okay, so biasness, it will actually be reduced. Then it establishes credibility and validity. Also, you need to know when you are triangulating, it will be time consuming, and sometimes you can actually experience some inconsistencies. Okay, inconsistencies. Right. So let's get now to the mixed methods research. If you can see, you have seen the green one and the blue one. So the strength from the quantitative and the strength from the qualitative, you benefit. Okay, so we have got a common or the point of intersection there. Basically, that's what we are doing. So what are these? What are these? So a methodology that focuses on mixing both qualitative and quantitative. Okay, in these aspects or tasks. Okay, one in collecting data, analyzing data, and the interpretation of data. Okay, so mixing is done, for example, in a single study, just a single study, you can actually apply this, or in a series of studies. In a series of studies, you can have all these, right? So basically, that's what we are saying. So 1 + 1 is not equal to 2 in mixed research methods. So 1 + 1 is basically equal to 3. The third one is a creation of the synergy. So there is a synergetic creation. Right. The premise of mixed methods research: the use of quantitative and qualitative approaches in combination provides a better understanding of research problems than either approach alone. Okay, that's basically the grounding here. That's a grounding, colleagues. Right, and this philosophy, as I indicated, highly, propounded by Creswell. Okay, let's look at the strength. One, it provides a more comprehensive understanding. The weakness, it requires a lot of time and resources. Okay. Then also, handling findings that do not agree. How do you reconcile those? The quantitative aspect is telling you something else. The qualitative aspect is telling you something else. So if the findings are at variance, how do you reconcile those? That is one of the greatest weaknesses of mixed methods research. The other one, colleagues, is difficult reporting together. Okay, how do you report? There is this, there is that. So you find that as a researcher, you have got a heavy load. Okay, you have got a heavy load. How do you report on both collectively? Right. The model, okay, a model, the mixed method model, not merely parallel play. Okay, don't think it's just this one is going along, this one is going along. No. So a model of and for interdisciplinary research, that's the meaning. Okay, and also simultaneously answer exploratory and confirmatory questions. So let's go. Exploratory and confirmatory questions. So what happens is, in most cases, you do discover that the quantitative will give you the percentages. They will give you the numbers. But then when you fuse in the qualitative, they may be able to explain those numbers. Okay, they may be able to explain those numbers. So therefore, they generate and verify theory in the same study. Right. Reasons for mixing methods. Okay. First of all, is for development. Okay, for expansion, for completeness, offset, and also for validity. Development and expansion. When findings based on one method are a prerequisite to use of the other method. Have you seen that? I hope you are able to see that and digest on it. Okay, so in research, sometimes you would find that your preliminary findings, maybe a particular method was actually handy. But once that is done, it will act as a prerequisite for you to employ another method. So that is what we mean by development. Expansion, okay, when findings based on one method raises questions that can be answered by use of the other method. So you have done your study using this particular method, and really the final findings there are some gray issues. There are some issues that has arisen. So you may want to use another method to ensure that those are actually answered. So you are expanding. It's very common. It's very common in quantitative studies where you have your baseline study and then you come and replicate. Another person can come and use your findings to address some of the issues that could have arisen from that particular study. So that is actually expansion, colleagues. What about offset? Okay, strength of one method, okay, that's what we are saying here. Okay, so you define that the strength that would benefit from a qualitative, they would actually, outweigh some of the downside of the quantitative study. Validation. A findings from one method confirms the findings of the other method. You can see that strength. So it does play the role of validation. Complementary, okay, when seeking answers to related questions, that is actually complementary. When seeking questions to related questions, so they'll be complementary in nature. Let's get back to development, and this time sampling. So it can help to define or identify the participant sample or collection and analysis of data representing the other type of the method. That's at a sampling method. So key decisions in mixed methods research, key decisions, so relative weighting of strands. Okay, so you have got the qualitative, okay, the quantitative plus the quantitative, or you have the quantitative and the qualitative, or both. Okay, so timing of implementation of the different strands. So those are the key decisions in this. So let's look at the QL plus QT. So this one usually is used when some portion of the phenomenon may be measured, and this measurement enhances the qualitative description or the interpretation. So that's the QL plus the QT. Let's get to the next one, the QL. Ones, small letters, the QL plus the QT. An example, a theoretical model is created from the literature and the previous research and tested quantitatively. But because some of the components might not be quantifiable or might require explanation or illustration, then a qualitative study is conducted concurrently. Hence that specific mixed method research known as parallel convergent. We'll come to those later. Let's look at the QL and the QT. So most frequently used when each method is used to address limitations of the other method. Okay, or to address related questions that are not assigned, priority. So that's how you actually make use of this. So timing of implementation of different strands. Okay, so 1 + 1, it will take you to 2 results, or sometimes 1 can take you to results. Check here. So first of all, you do that one, then you go to method 2, then it takes you for results, or 1 takes you to results, and then 2, it comes in and then takes you to results, or it can take you back to 1. Or 1 results, 2 results, so they all pour into the results. Right. Do we have questions on the part 1? I don't think so. Let me just check if there are questions. And we don't have people that have to admit. All right. Let's continue in the interest of time, unless you have got questions. Let's go to part 2. Research questions in mixed methods research. So purpose of research questions. So research questions and hypotheses narrow the purpose statement into specific research questions and predictions that will be examined in that particular study. Very important. Now, you recall, colleagues, that your research title is supposed to be unpacked. The research title is supposed to be unpacked by your research objectives or by the research questions. Okay. I hope you have picked that. Research objectives or the research questions or the hypothesis, they unpack the research title. So the implications of this is that it's very strange sometimes to find a research question or the research objective exactly the way the research title is. Because these, they are supposed to unpack. What do we mean? You break the research title into smaller tasks. And those smaller tasks, they will be able now, if you carry them out, you implement them, it means that you are addressing your main research title. So that's what. Then when do we use the research questions and when do we use the hypothesis? Let me pause here. This, I think you presented. When do we use research questions and when do we use the research hypothesis? Is there anyone who can help us? Hello, colleagues. I've talked a lot alone. Yes. Let's have. Yes. Please, you have.
Good morning. Good morning, Prof.
Yes. Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, so I think you would use research questions when you are exploring when you want to get more information and you don't have a lot of information, and then you would use the hypothesis when you do have information and you want to compare between two.
Just confirmatory.
Yes, confirm. Yes, thank you, Prof.
Yeah, if you want, yeah. Okay, let's take those answers for now. Let's take them tentatively. Perhaps we may change our mind as we move on. Let's get to Gaspar. Yes, Gaspar, you want to push in your thoughts? Yes, Gaspar? Please, we are not getting you. I know you have unmuted, but we are not getting you. Yeah, please speak to us. I don't know, maybe it's only me who is not getting him. Okay. Right. The question was, when do you situate yourself in such a way that you'll be prompted to use the research questions and the research hypothesis? Just like the next question I'm going to ask you is, when do you use the theoretical framework and the conceptual framework? Or do you use them both? Or which situations would actually be suitable for you to apply either one of those or both? Okay, let's go. Based on what Chireshe actually contributed, it might be clear that if you are basically just going to test, okay, let's get, yeah, you already know. What do we mean when we say we already know? Look, scientifically, we have the parameters, we have the standards. We know that if you mix, specimen A and specimen B, the outcome will be this. That's what we mean. Or the theory, it will tell you, okay? For example, let's go to the Pythagorean theory, for example. Let's go to the Pythagorean theory, for example. Okay, so the Pythagorean theory, it will tell you that the sum of the adjacent sides squared, okay? The sum of the adjacent sides squared, always it is going to give you the longest side, okay, if you actually square that. That's what the theory does. That's what the theory says. So if you are conducting a study, you want to verify if your results are in conformity with that theory, for example. If they are, well and good, give us explanation. If they are not, well and good, give us an explanation. Right. In this regard, in the same study, you may be forced to use both research or hypothesis, because these are the methods research. Okay, let's continue with our work, unless someone who has a question. Let me just continue. So in a mixed method study, we present qualitative research questions. Okay. We can also present the quantitative research questions. And we can present the mixed methods research questions. Let's explore that. So the difference the difference is this. For qualitative research questions or qualitative questions, they are open-ended. Okay, they are open and they are not closed. Okay, they are not closed. That is why they say that sometimes because they are open-ended, people will give you the answers based on their understanding and the way they look at things. So they begin with what or why. Okay, suggests exploration. Okay, looks at in-depth understanding of a phenomenon, not causality. I hope you have picked this. For quantitative research questions or questions, they are closed. In other words, they indicate specific variables to test. So even the questions there, the questionnaire for quantitative and the questionnaire for qualitative, the difference find that the questions, the other one, it will be specific. They will be actually be closed. The other one, it will be open-ended. Hence, for the mixed method, you may realize that you have one questionnaire that has got both closed questions and open-ended questions. And then also for quantitative, the variables related or compared between groups. And in quantitative questions, you actually make predictions, the hypothesis, and also it looks for the significance. Okay, so for example, for qualitative questions, you are going to say, what happened? Okay, who was involved in the response to the disaster, for example? Let's pick an example of this. Okay, what themes of response emerged during the 3-month period that followed the disaster? Okay, I hope you have picked that. So when doing the analysis, when you're asking those questions, you pick what are known as the themes or sub-themes. You pick themes or sub-themes, and you run with those. For quantitative questions, there, you see, there was a significant difference, for example, between lung cancer cases and smoking. So you create a null hypothesis, okay? Or treatment coverage for worm infections is better when under 5 children are dewormed by community health workers than when by nurses. That one is your hypothesis. Okay, that is also your hypothesis. Then what is the relationship between hypertension and physical exercise? I'm sure you are able to get the differences. Okay, the other one you have to test. Okay, so those are the ones. So research questions for mixed research. So it's just the same ones that I was giving examples there. Right. So guidelines by these two on how researchers might state questions in MMR. When in the process of conducting M and M research, the questions are generated. Can you take note of this? Okay. When in the process of conducting a mixed method research, questions are generated. how multiple questions in MMR might be linked or kept separate, and also the specific style of writing these questions. Okay, so let's go. One, when the questions are generated while you are conducting your whatever. So predetermined, okay, based on the literature. That is why if you want to come up with a good research paper or research title, can you go and review literature? And then in the process, you are going to generate some questions which you can actually answer later on. So based on the literature, based on practice, based on personal tendencies, or use in convergent designs, or sometimes data collection is set in advance with specific questions determined in advance, or emergent. This one that's consistent with the traditional QL approaches, or sequential, or multi-phased designs, or questions emerge from one strand to be used in the second strands. So that's what basically happens under predetermined and also under emergent. How the questions are linked, there is actually independent of each other. You have more than two or equal to two questions. Okay, one question does not depend on the results of the other, or the other one occurs in concurrent designs, or multi-phased, or even the embedded ones, the ones I talked about. For the embedded one, you know that you can have actually a bigger portion or a study, inclined more to quantitative, and then a small portion of qualitative embedded in that. Okay. So those are the examples. Dependent, one question depends on the results of the other. Okay, so usually this occurs in sequential. Okay, just check, there are two. Okay, there are two. There is the exploratory and explanatory. Okay, there are two. Remember, I gave you that. So you can have the exploratory sequential mixed research design. You are exploring. Then there is the explanatory sequential mixed research design. And then we have the embedded and the multi-phase. Okay. So please, can you pick these? And in research proposal, we want maturity in the way you apply these in your proposal. We want maturity. We are not going to accept situations where you keep on telling us, no, I used the mixed research methods because it involved both qualitative and quantitative. Yes, that is implied. But which one? Okay, which one? We have added now the fifth one. So if you are writing, let's list them down. If you are writing, let us list them. 1, exploratory sequential mixed research design. Write that one. Exploratory mixed research design. The second one is the explanatory sequential mixed research design. Explanatory sequential mixed research design. The third one is what we have covered in the previous, this one, the concurrent. So parallel convergent. Okay. Parallel Hello?
Good morning, Doc.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, this is Mwanda.
Hello?
Mwanda Dennis Kwapiri.
Ah, mbale. Mwauka bwanji uko?
Wino mwaka bwanji.
Tauka, family bwanji.
Yeah, so chapi. Swalipo.
Swalipo.
Mami siku kwa tete. Kupeta uke.
Oh.
So she traveled.
Oh, pepani mbale.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, alone in
Ah, sorry. Actually, I was on the copper belt. I just
apologies, Professor. We are in the call.
Okay. Just a minute. Colleagues, just a minute. Let me just answer the call from my brother. Just give me a minute. No, I'm talking to. I'm in class. Yes, I'm trying to excuse myself to say I talk to you, or maybe let me finish my class and I talk to you, bro.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, colleagues, just allow me to pick this call. Okay, colleagues, let's continue. Sorry for that. Please, can you write and put these clearly? So let me just repeat. The first one is exploratory, sequential, mixed research design. The second one is exploratory, sequential, mixed research design. The third one is a parallel convergent mixed research design. Parallel convergent mixed research design. The fourth one, it is embedded mixed research design. The embedded. The fifth one is what's known as the multi-phased. The multi-phased. Please pick this. I do not want. Allow me to speak with authority now, because I have authority in this. Please, when you be defending your proposals, or your dissertations, do not give us sweeping statements, especially when you are using a mixed research methods. Don't use sweeping method, statements. You need to be specific. And we are going to explore these in details and their applicability. When do you apply each one of these? So we are going to do that tomorrow in the next presentations. And then we get to choice. My next presentation, it will be choice of statistical data analysis techniques. When do you use, for example, correlation analysis? When do you use the Pearson product moment? When do you use the multivariate regression analysis? When do you use the descriptive? When do you use the Fourier? When do you use time series? When do you use the fishbone analysis technique, for example? When do you use all these? Okay, all these. So the choice, it is actually dependent on the number of factors, and we are going to explore those before I let you go. The other thing we need to clarify, is what was already presented, but I think there was a missing link. We need to clarify on the target population, sampling frame, and the sampling techniques, so that we are very, very, very clear. Can I leave you now? I thought of just hinting on some of these, especially the mixed methods, because they are the highly abused and misapplied approaches or designs, if you want. Right, we have a question or a contribution by Wishad Shamende. Wishad, please, you have the platform.
Yes, Prof. It's not a plan as such. It's just a request that, if possible, maybe you share the presentations that you are doing to us.
Okay. Yeah, there's no problem. Please don't take offense, because these are my presentations. You also prepared yours. You people, you prepared your presentations. So what we are going to do, let's that terminology things wow here when we're having these lectures, because we are mature. And I have always told my students that I will do my best to ensure that you clear your course. I will not hide anything, or to say, no, please, here, I will not deliver. Those that want, extra whatever, pay so much. No. I don't get money from, even if you gave me money, I will tell you, I will say no, because the university pays me. Okay, you pay to the university pays me. And why should I be charging you again? Or maybe when we meet somewhere, I begin to pretend, yeah. How are you? And then I start telling my colleagues, this one is my student, this one. It's me who has brought him up where he is. Is that true? Sure. Have you been told by only me? There are a lot of people that have actually helped you. Why should I claim you now? And yet, I'm doing that as a way of lobbying, asking for money. That's wrong. It's not correct. That's wrong. So what I'm saying is that let's do the best during our contact hours. There should be no other arrangements elsewhere. Let's do our very best, and we'll do that so that you should be able to clear the course and become a productive citizen. Right. Okay, so maybe let's end here so that I give you time to navigate through to the other lecture. Thank you so very much. So Mr. Clement, what we'll do, we are going to give you the first hour during the MBSZ 507 to make your presentation today. Because tomorrow I'll be doing, it will be my time. So let's finish everything today. And then thereafter, we'll continue with MBSZ 507. I thank you and good morning.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.